You guys just you keep coming around. I just keep hearing about you guys.
And I might need to tell Ryan to cut that up a little bit and just put it in my audio for my phone.
First of all, I love the game. I had a passion to play the game, not only football, but I love the game of golf. And what it lends to a person and the friendships you develop on the golf course.
It's been a pleasure being on the drop. I wish you guys all the best down the road.
As someone like you have that golf itch like a lot of us do.
I keep track of you, and you are moving. You are on the move.
So listen, I'm a big New Jersey golf guy. You're very kind, Mike, and you too, Ryan. It's a pleasure to be on just a couple of Jersey boys here talking about something we love. All the best. I really enjoyed it.
This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's up, Drop Pod people? Welcome back to Interview Thursday. You got Mike and I here, and our guest for today is Brian Krulfeifer, the head golf professional at North Jersey Country Club, a place that Mike and I love. We've been to a few times. We've been fortunate enough to go out there. We've had Brian Mackey on. We've had James Sirico on. And now we're able to get the head pro, Brian, to come on and talk to us a little bit about the golf course. Talk to us about the 4-ball coming up. Talk to us about how that process is. And it was really a great interview. And the people at North Jersey are just unbelievable people. We've gotten to meet and hang out with Brian Mackey a few times, and James has now moved on and upwards and onwards, but having him on as well, the guys there, they're very good to us, and we really greatly appreciate it. And Brian's no different. Krulfeifer, that is no different here. It's only a matter of time before we get him out on the golf course with us and knock it around up there. But yeah, we got Brian on to talk, kind of prep you for your 4-ball there. I said it jokingly that we weren't going to put it out. I know you didn't necessarily want to, Mike, but I fought you on it, and I think the people need to hear what Brian's going to say about the 4-ball setup here. So that's what we got this week.
Yeah, listen, I mean, anytime we're able to connect with good people, Brian's just another one on that list. We walk through the front 9, we walk through the back 9 with him. We discuss all different things about the golf course that if you are playing in the 4-ball, you got to tune in. He goes through holes that could present challenges, ones that could be gettable. And then he also gives his story, his background, how he got into the game and kind of how he ended up at North Jersey Country Club and how he plans on staying there for a very, very, very long time.
For sure. So without further ado, we're going to send you to our interview with Brian Krulfeifer, head golf professional at North Jersey. Enjoy.
This episode is brought to you by Gimme Cocktails. Golf season is back, and so is your go-to drink for the golf course. Gimme Cocktails is a golf-inspired canned cocktail made with premium vodka, real juice, and a splash of fizz. Choose from lemonade iced tea or pineapple, and stay tuned. A brand new flavor is dropping soon. Crisp, refreshing, and it packs a 7% punch. You can find Gimme Cocktails at Total Wine, Circus Liquors, Huddy's and Colts Neck, and select golf courses across New Jersey. It's a Jersey-based company, so drink local. The perfect drink to tee up your round or toast to a great one after. Follow at gimme_cocktails on Instagram or visit gimmecocktails.com. Gimme Cocktails. Pick it up. All right, so today on the Drop Podcast, we're joined by Brian Krulfeifer, the head golf professional at North Jersey Country Club, to discuss his journey through the game and the excitement surrounding the upcoming 4-ball championship. Brian, thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate the phone call, and obviously friends of North Jersey Country Club here. You guys have visited the site a couple times now, so
yeah, this is well overdue. We're glad to have you on, Brian. And I don't know if you know this, but I really enjoy your place. So that's I understand.
I've heard that once before on the podcast.
So happy to have you. Yeah.
That is something, Brian. I can't tell you how many times that we hear that. No matter what comes up, it's Ryan's home away from home, as I like to call it. So let's get a little bit. No doubt. Let's get into a little bit about your background, like how you got into the game, what kind of inspired you to start, playing this crazy game we all love, to kind of where you are today.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. There's pictures of me on the driving range when I was 2 years old. My father, he played the game his entire life. He grew up in New York City, so he played all the New York City public courses. He and my mom moved out to Rockland County in the early 80s, and I was born in 1985 and started playing the game as soon as I could pretty much walk. I was on the driving range over at Spook Rock Golf Course. That was my stomping ground growing up. And took a love into the game right out of the gate right there. Never took it very serious until about age 12, though. I played baseball. I was a pretty good baseball player. Played on some of the early Little League travel teams. And then a story with that, I was playing in a travel Little League tournament, and I had to miss the first day of the tournament because I had a golf tournament that day as well. And I chose the golf tournament over the baseball tournament. I show up for day 2, and I was the starting shortstop at the time, and I was, like I say, pretty skilled at the game. And the coach sat me down and he just said, "Listen, you weren't here for the team yesterday. I got to start another guy." I didn't even show up for day 3. That's the last time I ever put on a baseball mitt, and just completely stuck with golf from that point on. So that's kind of what really made the decision of this is the game I want to focus on. At that point, I started caddying and working in the bag room up at Tuxedo Golf Club up in Tuxedo Park, New York. Great place. And started taking lessons with the pro there to really kind of fine-tune my game. A gentleman by the name of Dave Carrazzo, great longtime pro up there. And just kind of him being my mentor really got me into the game and kind of gave me the path to wanting to become a golf professional myself. So I kind of spent the rest of my high school time there, caddying, working in the bag room, started to work in the pro shop a little bit, learn about the ins and outs of the game. And at the time, there was about 15 schools in the country that offered the PGM program, Professional Golf Management. And I was lucky enough to be accepted to Penn State. And I went there and kind of started my golf journey at that point. It was a good 4 years there, traveled the country a little bit, did internships around the country. I worked for the Met Golf section running tournaments 1 year. I spent 2 years out in Colorado, up in the mountains in Vail. Great time out there. About 7 of us from school went out there. A couple local guys that are actually pros in the Jersey section. Bill Hook from Knickerbocker. He was my college roommate, and we lived out in Colorado together. So that was a blast. And then right out of college, I was lucky enough to get an assistant job at White Beaches. Spent 5 years there. And then Bill Hook at that time was an assistant at Ridgewood, and he got the Knickerbocker head job and pretty much needed a whole new staff. So he's a young guy at this point, 26, 27 years old, was given this heavy task of running an entire club and needed somebody that he could trust and that he knows. So he asked me to jump ship from White Beaches and go over to Knickerbocker. So I did that. Had a great time over there, spent 5 years there as well. We built a great program over there. It's a great facility that they have there. And after 5 years, he and I kind of looked at each other. At this point, we had spent, I don't know, something like 13 years looking at each other almost every single day between college, playing golf outside when I was at Beaches. He was at Ridgewood. And we said it was just time to move on. And I was presented an opportunity in 2017 here to be the lead assistant at North Jersey under a brand new head golf professional as well. He was here for 3 years and decided to take a different position in the golf industry. He started selling carts for EasyGo. And it was almost as if I put in a 3-year interview at that point. So when he decided to leave the club here, the board at that time, club president Ernie Franzuto, called me into his office and said, "Hey, we're not going to do a search. If you want this job, it's yours. You let us know right now." And obviously that was the easiest decision I've ever made in my life. I said, "Yes, sir. You show me the paper, I'll sign on the dotted line right now."
Yeah, that certainly makes things easy.
It absolutely does. Yeah, it was an easy transition, and obviously I've been here now. This is my 6th year as the head golf professional here. It doesn't feel like I've been here 9 years, but I've seen a lot. I've seen this place grow tremendously in that time, and
in almost a decade, it really has. From obviously Mike and I are new on the scene here and seeing what's going on, but you've seen it from before it getting redone, correct, to now, like what it is now, and through its restoration and all that.
Absolutely. So when I got here in 2017, this place was, you could tell there was something special about this property. Beside the fact that it's unique, that there's no homes on the property. We're quiet. We're kind of up in the mountains. You turn up the driveway and it doesn't feel like you're in Bergen, Passaic County anymore. You're kind of in this little oasis, and you could see that the course had the bones there, but we kind of had to trim off some of the fat, meaning trees and cleaning up some of the areas. And as soon as that started happening in 2017, 2018, at that time, Ken Fiorina, who was our Greens chairman, really had a good vision for this place. He really saw what this place could be. And our superintendent, who joined Dan Kilpatrick at that point, kind of got on the same page as Ken. And man, they hired the right guy at the right time. We got Brian Schneider to come in before he started really blowing up as one of the top golf architects now in the country. And he started that work actually in the end of 2019 going into 2020. He did the second hole and the bunkering between 3 and 9 at that point. And then obviously March of 2020 came around and there was a big question mark around everything. Who knew? We didn't even know what the golf business was going to look like. We didn't know if we were going to stay open that year. Everything was up in the air. So that restoration got put on pause, but as soon as everything got back to somewhat normal, he got back on property, and kind of the rest is history at that point. We've seen all the pictures from James Sirico, who obviously is a friend of you guys, and now doing a great job over at the Upper Course in Baltusrol. Looking forward to that place opening. But yeah, it's been a real journey to see this place transform from what we knew was a special property to now we're really on the map.
Do you think, and this is going back before you, but golf's kind of gone through like generations, and obviously it being a Walter Travis course and built 100 years ago, the golf industry has changed. You know, you said trim the fat, like they let trees grow in, they planted trees specifically. Like it was, for a while there, it was like you have to golf in a corridor. And now obviously things are changing back to where it was and what was originally done. How much of helping Brian Schneider, that is, get the history back did you help with to be like, hey, this is what we want to get to? And you mentioned the two other guys, your superintendent and the Greens chair. What's like that whole process like to be like, hey, let's become history nerds and look at the history of this place and get it to what is it back to the way it was, or is it just a different vision from its original point?
It's getting close to how it was originally designed. So an interesting little story. So obviously Walter Travis is one of the Golden Age architects, very well renowned, especially in the Northeast area here. This is one, I think it might be the only, don't quote me on this one, it's either the only or one of two golf courses that actually he selected the site for the course to be on. So the small history of North Jersey, I'm sure you guys know this a little bit, but for your viewers, we were founded in 1895, but we weren't on this property. We were down in Patterson at that point. We were a 9-hole club. In 1921, the members of the club sought after a bigger property, 18 holes of golf, and they hired Walter Travis to go find the property himself. So where most clubs hire an architect, hey, here's our land, here's what you got to work with, go make something happen. Walter went out and found this property, and he had grand plans for this place. We have a ton of acreage on our property. I think the original plans actually were for 36 holes here. But he built the original 18 here and went on to go do a couple other courses and unfortunately passed away before he could ever make his way back.
That's unfortunate.
So it is unfortunate. We would love to have a 36-hole property here. But what was nice is that these guys, Ken Fiorina, Dan, myself, Brian Schneider, we started digging pretty deep, and there's a couple of websites you can go to that have historical aerial photos. You can just type in an address, and then you can click on different years and kind of see what the topography of the land was like then. So we were able to pull up, I think it was like a 1928 or a 1929 aerial view of this property. And you could see there weren't many trees at that point. Our big trees that we have now that are still great with some of our well-placed trees were probably little seedlings at that point or weren't even a thought. So we saw the original layout, the original design of the golf course, and we tried to just pay homage to Walter and kind of recreate that, obviously with more modern technologies and modern golf in mind.
That's wild.
Crazy.
It really is.
Crazy. George Wall Ford in Red Bank, New Jersey is family owned and operated, proudly serving New Jersey residents with superior customer service since 1960. Rye, share your story about your experience there.
Mike, I I went on a tangent in one of our episodes previously about it, but I can't say enough good things about George Wall Ford. I needed a new car. I had an old. I loved the brand that I had. I loved, it was an SUV, but had 165,000 miles on it. It was just time, So I hopped on over to George Wall Ford. I saw our guy Jerry, and Jerry and his team were awesome. I mean, from stem to stern, they're there, they're helping, they're knowledgeable. They have so many cars on the lot that you can go in and say, hey, I want a sunroof, a navigation. I want this kind of rims on it. I want this kind of this, that, and the other thing. There's a great chance that they have that car with all your specs, the color, all that thing. Me, I didn't particularly care. I just, I was like, hey, I want to be high up in the car, right? I need an SUV. I'm a big guy. I got a dog. I got golf clubs. I got beach chairs in the summer. I need something that's a little more rugged, a little more, again, I like to be higher in my car. And I went and saw Jerry. He pointed me in the right direction. And again, it's awesome to have that kind of help and support from your salesman to the finance guy to even they got somebody who helps you set up your car, right? I got an app on my phone now that's got my auto start on it. I can locate my car if I don't know where it is. I could take a trip to Japan if I wanted to and be like, did I lock my car? And I can go into the app and lock my car. So even people helping you set up that stuff, just the hands-on approach over there is incredible. So if you need a car, head on over to George Wall. And go ask for Jerry. They were awesome there. Again, stem to stern from everybody. I can't say enough good things about it. It was an unbelievable experience.
So to Ryan's point, there isn't a better place to shop for a brand new car. Just call 732-704-1932 and ask for Jeremy Wall. George Wall Ford in Red Bank for all your car buying needs.
Do you have enough land still to build more holes?
It's a great question. We do. It's nothing's in the immediate future, but we do have that ace in the hole, which once again, most golf properties in this area do not have. Is we do have land and a significant amount of it. So we've had talks of do you throw a par 3 course in there? Do we throw another hole 9 in there? Do we do something? A 6-hole kind of short course for families, because we are full in membership now. Golf is booming. And one of the good problems that we always talk about is how busy this place is. It's a good thing, but at the same time, it's how do we manage everyone's expectations of pace of play and getting families out on the golf course.
I was going to say the junior membership is huge there.
Huge. Yeah, so we're full in every category, and our goal is to obviously make the experience here great for everyone, members and guests alike. And there's plans. There's plans to definitely.
Okay. I didn't want to break anything I shouldn't be breaking, but that's. But I'll tell you, I will say you said a par 3 short course. I got all kinds of tingly.
Yeah, there's definitely plenty of opportunity for expansion, as you guys know. So if you look at the driving range, the right side of our driving range there is all into the woods, and those woods pretty much back up to William Patterson University, which is about a mile or two down the road from us, maybe half a mile through the woods. But we own all that woods.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's it would require a lot, but the opportunity's there.
Is there any reason why something hasn't been done over these years? If going back to 1920s with Walter Travis, like you would think that, okay, he's tragically passed away. Let's you would think like even if 30 years have gone by, now you're in the 1950s. Like, why did the club not take advantage of that earlier?
That's a great question. I don't have the immediate answer for that right now. I'm assuming at that time, 36-hole facilities were actually very rare. Even a lot of the big courses that are now 36-hole facilities, 54-hole facilities, didn't start that way. I guess it had to do with member expansion, how many people they wanted at the club, how exclusive they wanted it to be. I'm sure every one of those factors had something to do with it. But kind of time went by, and all of a sudden we just, I guess, never got to expanding to that original 36 design. So hopefully one day that'll come to.
I got my fingers crossed for you.
Yeah.
I hope you build a house for this guy too at that point, Bryce. So
we call it the Culotte Cottage. It can be a very simple, like a studio kind of situation, a little kitchenette. couch.
Right, how about
really,
just
the porch
a tent?
situation?
Give the guy
is
a
what,
tent.
you just
Give the guy a tent.
you just need.
He just needs a fire pit outside, a little putting green.
That's it.
for
I
practice at
want a
night,
place
call
where I
it
can
a day.
watch golfers go by, and I can. That's all. I just sit on a rocking chair, and that's all I want. That's all I need.
So, Brian, I do have a question. Obviously, when you guys in your position,
Sure.
there always seems to be people that have kind of inspired you, motivate you. Maybe there's a moment, but like when you look back at like your journey from learning the game to now leading North Jersey Country Club, is there that moment or lesson or person that's kind of helped shape you to who you are today?
Yeah, good question. Like I mentioned, the original pro that I worked for, Dave Carrazzo, he was the pros pro. You'd see other golf professionals travel to Tuxedo to go take lessons from this guy. So he was very well renowned in the Met section, and he definitely put me on that path. And then all the pros that I've worked for leading up until this point, every one of them put a stamp somehow on who I've become today. Like I said, Bill Hook and I, we've been best friends. He was the best man at my wedding, so he taught me a lot, and we learned a lot. Him, like I said, being head professional for the first time, and me seeing that from the start right there. We grew and learned together. The previous professional to him there, Ed Whitman, over at Knickerbocker, was there for 35 years, and he is as New Jersey golf legend as it gets. The guy has 300-something career wins at this point. He's in his 60s, and he could still compete with any one of us out there. So he taught me a lot, a bunch about just how to manage members' expectations. Obviously, as a young guy, you think you know it all, and you're coming out of school, and hey, I'm going to take the world by storm. But you really got to learn how to navigate different memberships, and every club is so unique at that point. Growing up, kind of a story here is Brian Mackey and myself, who you guys know very well at this point. We grew up together. We played Little League together. We played all of our junior golf together. When I mentioned Spook Rock, that was our summer camp. So both of us our parents worked full time. So they would just drop us off at Spook Rock at 8 o'clock in the morning with $20 in our pocket. And we would sit there and have chipping contests for 3 hours straight, then go play golf, sneak a hot dog in at the turn, finish the round of golf, have another chipping putting contest for another 2-3 hours. And then one of our parents would pick us up and take us home. And we would do that for
I didn't
days
realize
in a row.
that. Mike, did you know that?
No, I didn't know that either.
I didn't realize. Yeah, that's wild. I had all the times we've interacted with Mackie, I had no idea that you guys were that close for that long. Very, very cool.
Yeah. Our families would travel. We would play all of our Met junior golf tournaments together. If we had to stay overnight in Long Island, me, my dad, him, and his dad would go out and stay in a hotel room together. We did all our traveling together, and then obviously golf took us on different journeys. He pursued the playing professional side a little bit more right out of college. He was an accomplished collegiate golfer over at Dominican, and his journey just took him in a slight different way. He ended up actually working at White Beaches when I left White Beaches. So then that's kind of when we reconnected a little bit more. And then obviously he moved on to Echo Lake for a year. He then went up into Westchester County, New York for a year. And then 2020 came around, an opportunity presented itself here when I got my job that I needed my number one guy, like Billy Hook needed his number one guy. And it didn't take much thought. I reached out to Brian and said, hey, what are you doing for 2020? And it was one of the best hires I could have ever made. And then 3 months later, I had to fire him and put him on hold for a month and a half. He was getting ready to start the season, and then about the middle of March rolled around. I said, hey, I'm going to call you hopefully in May when we can get golf rocking and rolling again. And it was kind of funny. Thankfully, he stuck it out, and we've really transformed his role here into something special. And all the other guys that I've surrounded myself with here, my entire staff, I've got a great lead assistant in Sean Curtin. We've got a great young guy, Shane Adams. He's tremendous value to the asset, to the operation here. And then obviously our outside operations guy, Sergio, he's the best in the state. I'm not just saying that because he's my guy. He is absolutely fantastic.
Brian, it's I kind of started with it. Like we've had Mackie and James on, a few times now, and you guys have been super generous to have us out. But everybody that you have surrounded yourself with there, and everybody at North Jersey is top notch. As you mentioned, Sergio is like you pull up and like he knows our car. Now we've been there a few times, but like he he's on top of his game. Everybody that's working in the pro shop, to even just the like interns that you guys have had that we've interacted with, like everybody there is top notch, and I think it's a testament to the type of family that you guys have built there. You on the outside and golf side of things, but then the beverage, the food and beverage part of it too. Everybody is I think I said it when we had them on. Everybody is focused on the same direction and all moving forward in unison and like almost like marching together. And when you can do that, you create something special, which you guys very clearly have there.
Yeah, we're clicking on all cylinders. Obviously, the golf course is the star of our show here, but the food and beverage team is absolutely fantastic right now. We got a great team there. It's been a great start to the season. Members are using the facilities. They're playing golf. They're staying for dinner after. We just hired a new general manager at our club, and he's going to be a great asset to the club. It's been his first week here. Members are taking great to this guy, and we're happy to have him part of the team. He seems to share our vision of what this place can become. And it's just going to take a little time to get there, but we have all the pieces of the puzzle right there.
Yeah, listen, it is one of those spots. I got one other question about like your background, because I know that like North Jersey kind of has its history and its tradition and obviously the Walter Travis thing. But what does it mean to you to be the head professional of that golf course? Because I think it is very rich in history, especially when you dive deep. What does it mean to you personally?
Honestly, I have to pinch myself every day I wake up. I mean, obviously, to become a head golf professional has been a lifelong dream of mine. And you never know where you're going to end up, because these jobs, they open few and far between. And when they do open, there is a laundry list of 100 guys applying for it. So I was at the right place at the right time when I got it here. But this is the place I will spend the rest of my life at. People have asked, hey, would you ever want to be a Baltusrol kind of guy, a Ridgewood kind of guy, one of those top 100 courses? And that's just not my style. My style is the everyday club, a bunch of great members here. We interact great with them. We're on first name basis with a lot of them at this point. I know a bunch of their families. They know my family. My family comes up for the 4th of July events, the Memorial Day barbecues, the Labor Day barbecues. So it really is, when we say we're a family club, it's not just a family club for the members to use it because we have a pool, we have a tennis court. It literally is a family. Between the staff, the members, the way everyone treats each other, the members want to come up here and have a good time, and we want to have a good time as well. And if the members see that we're having fun, we enjoy our jobs, we're out there playing golf in the afternoons. Yesterday we had our opening day event. We got lucky. It didn't rain on us. We got through the whole day. We were here at 5:30 in the morning, setting up carts, pulling bags, making switches, because people were dropping out thinking that the rain was going to be bad all day. It ended up being a great tournament. And then at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Sergio and Shane Adams looked at me and they said, you want to go play 9 holes? And I said, guys, I'm old now. I just turned 40 this year. I can't play 9 holes after being up at 5 in the morning. But we went out there. And we had a bunch of the members razzing us as we were teeing off. But that's the kind of atmosphere it is. It's just, we want to go out there. We want to have fun. We want to play. And the members appreciate it.
Yeah, listen, that little spot right there on the first hole with that little patio is actually, probably second to none in terms of things like that. The New Jersey Golf Foundation, the charitable arm of the New Jersey PGA section, is committed to positively impacting lives and communities through the game of golf, with a focus on 3 core pillars: youth, military, and special needs, and led by PGA of America golf professionals. The New Jersey Golf Foundation hosts a dynamic lineup of annual programs for all levels and abilities, and a series of special events to support programming. Signature youth programs include golf in schools and PGA Junior League, while military programming is highlighted by PGA Hope, helping our patriots everywhere, a weekly rehabilitative golf program that is saving the lives of military veterans. The foundation is also a strong advocate for inclusion through its support of Special Olympics New Jersey Golf and L's for Autism. To support programs and special events, please visit njgolffoundation.org or call 732-465-1212. That's njgolffoundation.org or 732-465-1212. Let's pivot a little bit to Monday. Now, Monday is, for what the audience may not know, is the 4-ball championship being held right there at your golf course. And before we kind of get into, how the setup will be, things of that nature, what does it mean for you, for North Jersey, to host, one of their, big time prestigious events?
We're very honored to host it, obviously. It's a banner year for them. So I think they're kind of reaching out to all of their original courses who are the original clubs of the New Jersey State Golf Association, now New Jersey Golf with their rebranding. So we're lucky to host one of their major championships this year. It's going to be a great test. It's a very difficult golf course, as you guys know.
I know that firsthand.
And
Don't look at the Gin app.
And I think what makes it really special, or what makes this tournament great for us here, is we've always said this is a great match play golf course. It's such a good risk-reward golf course. Not in the sense of, when you think of most risk-reward golf courses, you'll think of a certain hole where maybe it's a drivable par 4 or a go-for-it par 5 where you think typical risk-reward. I think every hole here is a risk-reward hole. It all depends on pin locations. It all depends on the speed of the greens where, a typical 120-yard shot, which may seem stock to a lot of the players that are coming here next week, isn't your typical stock 120-yard shot. If you miss it in the wrong spot, you just turn a birdie opportunity into a bogey real quick.
We've witnessed that and seen it, many times. But
we all know.
So let's kind of
Don't go
dive.
check the tapes.
Let's dive through the golf course itself, and let's kind of start on the front nine. Like, being a guy that
hold on, Mike. Brian, do you know that Mike qualified? Mike's going to be there next week. Okay, good.
I did see that.
Austin.
You and who was it? Austin
the horse.
Devereaux?
I'm just the jockey.
Nice.
Let's make sure we.
You got that whip out there.
So I don't know if that's the case, but I'm just kind of hanging around.
So this is actually Mike. Mike he wants insider information. We're not actually putting this out. He just wants to know about the course.
I need a lot.
On the side
I need a lot more help than
aired.
just information. Let me tell you. But let's kind of go through the front nine. For a lot of the the listeners here that are going to be playing on Monday or potentially even caddying, what can you as you go through the front nine, maybe give us a hole or 2 or 3 that you can see like, hey, listen, Monday's obviously, in terms of how this goes, in case the audience doesn't know, is the top 16 teams move on to match play, which starts on Tuesday. So you've got a better ball between you and your partner, top 16 teams through 18 holes. What holes on the front nine could be, maybe to your earlier point, gettable, or on the flip side, like stay away, make par, be happy, sprint to the next tee?
Yeah, there's I think you have to get your round started off well here to maintain a good round throughout the entire day. The first hole right out of the gate it's a reachable par 5 for some of the players that'll be here. It's a long hole, but you can get there in 2, and you kind of want to start your day with a birdie. The green is very tricky, but like I say, we have some of the most talented guys in New Jersey coming to test themselves here, and a lot of guys will be able to make birdie there. You get to the second hole, it's a tough par 3, small green, make your par and move on. Third hole is definitely a gettable par 4. You can definitely make birdie there, and same thing with the fourth hole. Fourth hole is for the caliber player coming next week, a glorified par 4. It's very reachable par 5. It's probably going to be a driver and a mid-iron for a lot of the guys there. So if you can get through the fourth hole at 1 or 2 under, you're going to be off to a pretty good start.
I don't know if you heard, I birdied the fourth hole. I did.
Did you? There we go. You know what? It's another one where you can go in there with a mid-iron, but it's still no picnic once you get to the green. That's one of the redesigned greens that Brian Schneider put out there for us, and you could just as quickly 3-putt that green as you can possibly drop an eagle putt.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the front nine, you just got to play smart. With this being a partner event here, and it being stroke play for that qualifying portion of match play, more importantly at this facility, somebody has to be in play. In the qualifying sites and maybe some other places, you can get 2 guys where you can both get aggressive at it. But if both guys get aggressive at the same hole here and they both happen to not execute to their top ability, a bogey and double bogey can come up real quick for a team. And in a stroke play qualifying of this caliber, a double bogey on a scorecard can pretty much almost write you out of qualifying at that point. So you have to avoid the mistakes. So having somebody play safe, keeping it in the fairway, maybe playing to the center of a green, having that par on your scorecard, that's your friend at this place.
That's kind of, that's where I come into play, because I can Fred Funk the ball off the tee and get it in the fairway, and I can salvage pars. But we all know sometimes in better ball, pars aren't always great, but that's my job. And I like to think, when I think about the front nine there in North Jersey, for the guy that hasn't played there, you hear the stories, don't go long at this place because it's nightmare. Don't go short here. Is there that kind of, sense throughout the front nine of, hey, listen, if I had to miss it somewhere, is there that common theme throughout the front nine at all?
I mean, most golf courses, you want to say you always want to miss short. And obviously, short is our probably best opportunity if you're going to miss a green. Most of our greens do have fairway that runs up to it. So you can play any type of shot, whether you want to loft it in the air, you want to keep it on the ground a little bit. But there really is no constant correct miss, if you will. So our sixth hole is a very short par 4, about 355, 360 yards from the tips there. It's a wide fairway. You could land a 747 on the thing. But if you leave yourself an 80-yard shot into this green, as you guys have seen, there's a hump in the middle of it. And if the pin is on the right side of that hump and you hit the green on the left side, you are going to 3-putt if you could even keep the ball on the green. You might putt that ball right off the green. So knowing on that hole, if the pin's on the right, you could miss the green to the right and have a much easier up and down opportunity than a 2-putt coming from the left side of the green. There's a backstop there. You could use that hump. You could bank your ball in different ways. As you guys know, you got to put your thinking cap on around this place. You have to really use your imagination. There are slopes, there's banks, there's backstops. And the more you could think and use your imagination around here, you could really execute some shots that most people
being creative
just
is a big part there too. Like seeing the backstop and trying to use things like the backstops, banks, and things like that. You got to be creative there too.
Absolutely. And obviously, Dan Kilpatrick, he gets the course into fantastic shape. It's already in great shape. We can host the tournament next week if we needed to at this point. We didn't do a spring aeration just for the fact of we are hosting this event. So it's just small needle time punches in the greens a week and a half ago. So they're already healed up. They're running a 12 already. And we're all 3-putting out there already.
It's a bad sign for us bad putters, I'll tell you that. And then as you navigate to the back nine, I know you and I had discussions off camera about the 10th hole and whether or not it may or may not be open. What's that looking like?
It's going to be a very difficult hole. We're kind of up in the air about it. Unfortunately, it hasn't been the greatest spring weather. Just this past couple weeks here, it finally started getting warm. So we're starting to get some growth there. It's going to be a game time decision. The fairway looks great. The green looks great. It's just, it's still a little young at this point. My guess is we're probably going to play the original 10th green for the championship, which is still a pretty difficult par 4. It's a difficult green in and of itself. But when we get that new 10th hole, the par 5 open, it's going to obviously lengthen our golf course, make us a par 72. But I think it's going to be a very, very challenging hole. You can't miss that green to the right. We talk about can't misses. Cannot miss that green to the right. You miss the green 3 yards to the right, you're going to fall off into a fescue rocky cliff. So if you're going to go for it in 2, you better be on point. But we're all going to learn that as we go along throughout the season here. And I see myself laying up more often than not going for it because I try to pride myself as somewhat of a smart player. I do play the percentages as much as I can. I don't overwhelm the golf world with distance. So I rely on my wedges and my putter, and I think that's anybody who could do that, especially throughout the rest of the golf course. If you could rely on your wedges and your putters, you'll do.
And then
just
as
fine
you
out here.
continue throughout the back nine, like what are some of the holes that you could see or anticipate maybe a birdie or 2, or even on the flip side, that catastrophe of a 7 or a double bogey 6 on a par 4? Like where can you see things like that happening?
Yeah, the 11th hole is one of our redesigned holes as well. We pushed that green back, kind of. Everyone will see a big rock outcropping up in the hill there, and it's such a beautiful view. It's one of our best holes out there now. It's a very difficult green, but with a good drive, it is a birdie opportunity. Most guys will have a wedge, a short iron into that hole there, and there are 3 different levels. So if you catch the right level and your distance control is on, you can hit a close one in there and make a putt. I think the 12th hole is one of the better short par 4s in all of the state there. Doesn't require a driver off the tee. You can get real risky and try to knock it over the top of the hill and over the fescue, but I think it's a little too risky of a play. But you lay a 5 iron or something 220 yards off the tee, and you got this beautiful downhill shot to a greatly redesigned Walter Travis / Brian Schneider green that, once again, has its quadrants. I'm certainly not comparing us to Augusta here, but when you watch the Masters, you see certain holes and certain hole locations that when you execute a correct shot, the ball tends to filter toward that hole, and you see some great birdies being made. We kind of have a little bit of that, to where if you catch the right quadrant, yeah, that ball will curve and start hitting the banks and filtering toward the hole. But like I said, if you catch the wrong side, especially the 12th hole, if you catch the wrong side on some of those humps there, good luck two-putting that thing and walking away.
I do think, to cut you off real quick, that 12th hole, I was kind of curious to see what your take was going to be, but I think that 12th hole is going to be, nightmarish for a lot of people after they play, especially if they don't play a practice round and they get up there, they see the number on the card, they go play, and then they're like, oh my God, all I needed to do was do this and kind of poke and prod my way, as I like to say, around the golf course. Because that second shot is really, I think, somewhat intimidating because of what you're looking at, the downhill. There's a lot of variables that go into that.
Downhill, forest behind, creek in front. It is intimidating.
Yeah, and that corner of the property that there is the swirly wind corner of the property. So you can line up your shot, throw some grass up in the air, and you could have a downwind 170-yard shot, which if it's as downhill as it is, maybe you're thinking, all right, maybe a 140, 145 shot can get the job done. You grab your 145 club, you stand over it, and next thing you know, the wind shifts into your face a little bit. And a little insider tip, it never plays as downhill as you think. You always play closer to the number. Even though it's got to be 40, 50-foot drop from the fairway down to that green there, it definitely doesn't play like a 40, 50-foot drop. So you got to catch it. You got to make your swing at the right time.
No doubt.
And then I think the make or break hole, if you want out there, is 14. 14 to me, when you're standing on the tee, is the best view on the property. You're kind of up on top of the hill there. You're looking down at the 14th and 17th greens. You see the pond in front of the 18th tee there, and you can see all the way up to the clubhouse. And there's no better look in Jersey, in my eyes, there than standing on that 14th tee. But once again, it's another one of those, could be a drivable par 4 for some of the guys that can pound one out there. If you can get something chasing out there, some of these guys hit it 320, 330. It is downhill as you get to the green. You could chase something down there, but once again, it's one of those holes that when I play, if I'm looking to make a birdie on that hole, I'm laying back, and I'd rather have a full swinging 120, 130-yard shot than a weird little 60, 50-yard wedge, because that green kind of sits up top. It's got a lot of movement to it, and depending on the weather that we get over the next couple of days here, if it gets dry and we don't get any rain, man, that green gets fast and firm, and trying to hold that green from 50 yards is near impossible.
I definitely think that's another hole that you would look at the scorecard and be like, I should get one back. But, I think, as you've been saying, the greens, is kind of like the defense of the golf course as well, with how undulating, how big and how, quadrant like they are, to your earlier point. So, I also think that 17th hole is a super fun hole too, that I think, you don't think the creek comes into play, but I think, to your earlier point, pending where the tees are, some of these dudes may get there or pretty damn close, at least, to that creek.
Yeah, that creek tends to always be right in the way for me. So if I go out there and play on a Saturday, Sunday with the members, we're playing either the white tees or the blue tees, and it's right in my landing zone. As we drop back to the black tees, I can typically hit driver. I hit driver about 280, 290, and I'm usually pretty safe. But some of these young guys playing in the 4-ball nowadays who pop it out there pretty good, you have to pick and choose what side of the fairway you're going to go to, because that creek up the right side of the fairway pinches in at about 280 from the back tees here. If you take it up the left side, you could chase it out to 315, 320 before you reach the creek. So you really have to decide, am I taking driver off the tee and challenging the left side, or am I going to lay back with a 3-wood or a hybrid or something? But then that leaves you 250, 260, 270 into what, like you said on a scorecard, should be a gettable par 5. So a good risk-reward hole there. And once again, get to the green. If you haven't seen the property, that's one of our original Walter Travis greens. And it's got its quadrant locations, and depending on what the New Jersey State does with the pin locations, it can be a 3-putt waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yes, sir.
That's a great hole coming down the end there for someone that either is in need or a group that's chasing or a group that's trying to protect, like to see how they play that, because you can play it two very different ways and see how they execute. But obviously good execution is needed whichever way you choose on that hole.
Absolutely. It could definitely make or break around there. Like I said, if you're chasing that birdie or you're chasing that eagle, you take a look at the score, the leaderboard, and we need 1 or 2 more here. Maybe that's the time both guys get aggressive. Obviously, it's a do or die at that point, because I don't think you're looking at a birdie on 18. You get to our final hole here. It's 445 yards of par 4 up the hill to what could be one of our best greens on the golf course. It's gigantic. It's got your typical Biarritz style, a front shelf, dips down into the middle, has a nice trench in the middle of the green, and then a gigantic back shelf. It's 44 paces deep. So even though there's a lot of movement to it, it's definitely fair. It's big, but to hit it close on that hole is almost impossible. You have a mid to long iron coming into that green, and to hold the correct quadrant, there's that front left, a low front right, the middle trench, and the back. It's just really hard to hit one in there close and make
Par 71. And if you tipped it out, which I don't think that will necessarily happen, because I think it's fun to throw some different tee boxes in there. But if it's tipped out, what is North Jersey from that distance?
Par 71, we are just shy of 6,700 yards. We're in that. I think it's from the back tees. You're looking at. I think it's 6,667, if I'm not mistaken.
All of 6,667.
I am shocked it's that low. I didn't realize it was that short, because it is all of that. There's some holes that are really pretty long.
Yeah, the new 10th hole is going to add about 125 yards when it becomes a par 5. We just got our new scorecards in. It is a couple yards shy of 6,800 yards. And when I think about it, you can kind of think back. I think back to Marion Golf Course when they played the U.S. Open there, and they talked about how this is the first U.S. Open in forever that hasn't been 7,000 yards. And everyone's like, oh, they're going to rip it apart. They're going to tear that place up. And that just doesn't happen. Yardage has nothing to do with the playability of a golf course. We've hosted a ton of events now, qualifiers. We've had a ton of our pro events here. We had the fall finale last year. We have open stroke plays for the New Jersey PGA. And once again, if you've never played a practice round here and you take a look at the scorecard, man, I'm going to chew this place up. And it never happens. Typically for us pros, 1 under, 2 under, 3 under, that's an easy win, and it's usually by a stroke or two.
Yeah, I think that's the common theme with the everyday golfers. Let me look at the total yardage, and then all of a sudden I can start to think about what I'm going to do. And that, to your point, I think that is the complete opposite at North Jersey. I do want to kind of put you on the spot here for this question. What do you think qualifies for match play? If you had to take a guess, what number is safe in your mind without going to something extreme and tell me like 65, which I would agree would get in, but I don't know if anybody can do that. What number do you think gets into Tuesday's match play portion?
So they have to take, obviously, a clean cut of 16 because we are going into a bracket here. So more often than not, you're probably looking at a playoff to get in. So I think I think you're clean if you shoot 4 under. I think if you shoot a 67, you can hop in the hotel for the night, or if you live close, you can go back home knowing that you're coming back to play on Tuesday. I think 68, 3 under is probably safe as well, but that's going to be the playoff line. 69, 2 under, you're probably going to be, if you have an early tee time, you're probably not leaving property until the last group comes in, because I think it'll be right.
Yeah, that's actually higher than I anticipated that you'd say. Higher as in lower, I should say, because I thought you would have said more around even par in a sense, because I have this mind that I think these greens and I understand, to your point, the caliber of player that's coming in is very high. Obviously, you see the names of some of these people out there, and they've won things. They're always on leaderboards. But I do think that the greens there can become frustrating for a lot of people at times because they're so accustomed to seeing the ball go in the hole or rolling so well. But now you got to play not maybe one break, but there's 2 breaks here, and you're going over a ridge. I can just see the number being more around the 2 under to 1 under because I don't know. And this is my crazy mind thinking. I just think the greens are going to frustrate so many more people than I think you're giving it credit for.
It's definitely true. Listen, we're also at the mercy here of the elements. More at this property, it is such a windy property. It's been a windy spring overall everywhere. I'm sure everyone's dealt with it. I live 10 minutes down the road from here, and I'll wake up in the morning at 7 o'clock, and I'll step outside, walk to my car, and okay, it's a 5-10 mile per hour breeze, and I'm like, all right, it's not going to be that bad. I get up here, and that American flag over by the pro shop is just standing sideways. It is ripping 20, 25 miles per hour. And if we get a day like that, then yeah, that number could jump up to even par. It could jump up to over par at that point. If we happen to get a rain day leading into it and the greens tend to soften up and these guys can now just kind of point and click and drop a ball in there and not worry about balls bouncing off the back of a green, then I see the number going a little lower. So definitely keep an eye on the weather forecast because I think more at this place than any other place, a favorable weather forecast versus maybe tough conditions is not a stroke or two. It could be 4, 5, 6 strokes at that point in the cut lines.
Absolutely
Listen,
could, yeah.
It's going to be an exciting week. I'll tell you that. I can't wait to get up there and get to play it again. And I can't thank you enough for coming on today's show to kind of breaking it all down. I do know, last year when we did this for, previewing the 4 bowl, the amount of people that had come up to me at the event was like, I appreciate you doing that. It was so insightful. So I want to make sure that, Ryan and I thank you for coming on here and doing that for us.
And thank you for reaching out to me, and I'm happy to hop on here and obviously talk about our facility. And we're looking forward to the competition, and obviously wish you the best of luck. Hopefully you'll go out there and make it to Tuesday, and then I'll hop in my cart and kind of follow you guys around and cheer you on as you go along and make your journey to that championship.
Well, make sure you save a cart for me as well, because if I come up, I'm going to be following. I told Mike I'm going to be heckling as good as I possibly can.
You pop right next to me. We'll follow these guys all day long.
Hey, Brian, thanks so much for joining. This has been great. Glad we finally got you on and talk a little bit about you and then the course and the event. So this has been awesome. We're looking forward to having you again and always looking forward to seeing you again.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. And obviously, we'll have you for the tournament here, but throughout the rest of the season, anytime you want to come up and play a little round of golf, I'd love to get out there with you. I know you play with those boys once or twice, but we'll rope Mackie into the next round of golf. The 4 of us will go. We'll have a little dinner after. And
good stuff, bud.
Laughs.
Would love to.
Works for us.
Take care.
Yep. Take care, guys.